Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Starting quite a bit early, about 35 minutes early here. Let's see what we have in the chat today. We have King Bob, we have Critty, and Catman so far. Welcome everyone else who's watching who may not be chatting, or if you're just now tuning in, glad to have you in the live stream. So let's go ahead and switch on over to our main scene. I'll just give it a quick double check. Okay, everything should be good here. I started a bit early, so yeah, looks fine. Looks good, looks good. So we've got a tornado warning, not but for just another 3 minutes or so here, but this is actually a stalling out supercell that has just been sitting over this one area, over McCook in south central, southwestern Nebraska here, dropping anywhere from 1.5 to 3 inch in diameter hail right over the town. So a very destructive supercell. It's also a tornadic supercell. We had a funnel cloud reported not too long ago with it. If I go all the way back here, it might be about 30 minutes ago at this point. Yeah, this is actually about 20 minutes ago. About 20 minutes ago, multiple reports and photos of a funnel cloud that reached about halfway to the ground. So that warranted them to issue the tornado warning. And the tornado warning, it was for 3-inch hail at that time. Looks like it still is for 3-inch hail. Yeah, still radar indicated 3-inch hail, as well as the potential for a tornado, but we've actually got a hail report of 3-inch in diameter. So that's one of our mini storms to keep an eye on today. If we go and take kind of a broader look here, hold on, I have my warnings turned off. There you go. I was like, what? Where's all my severe warnings? Yeah, my warnings were turned off on GR2. Don't know how that happened. But yeah, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect across portions of Nebraska into northwestern Kansas, northeastern Colorado. Main threat today is hailstones up to 3-inch in diameter. We could have a wind gust up to 70 miles per hour as well. And then we are anticipating the chance for a tornado or two. We do have that active tornado warning right now. Best chance for a tornado is now, anywhere between 5 p.m., which was 30 minutes ago, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. So the tornado threat is relatively small window there. Really just whenever these storms are the most discrete. And you can see here, they're already getting into that clustered / congealed up into a line look here in western and central Nebraska. So really, we're just keeping an eye on this storm here, and that's about it. Just make sure you're in your safe spot if you're in that tornado warning. It is also a destructive severe, which I appear to have those off too. GR2 does not say there's a destructive severe, but let's see. Severe thunderstorm warning, destructive. Yeah, there is indeed a 3-inch hail severe thunderstorm warning that I'm not seeing on this end. Oh, there you go. There's your destructive severe. So they dropped that tornado warning, and they issued a possible 3-inch hail severe thunderstorm warning. So that is a PDS severe thunderstorm warning. You still want to treat that like a tornado warning. Go to the same safe spot you would go as if this were a tornado warning, because it is a pretty dangerous situation. 3-inch in diameter hail there. So make sure you're in your safe spot. If you are in the town of McCook in southwestern Nebraska, outside of these two storms here, this one here and this one here, there's really not a whole lot else happening. We have these ordinary severes for 1-inch hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and those are scattered throughout a lot of portions of the U.S. We have some in Arkansas, one that just left Missouri, one in southeast Kansas. I think we had one in Virginia. Yeah, I don't see one anymore, but we did just a couple minutes ago. We had one in southern Virginia, far southeastern Virginia. We have one in Mississippi. See where else we have any over here. Nope, there's just a lot of scattered severe storms over portions of the U.S., but the main area of severe weather today will be focused across this small area in southwestern Nebraska over the next 2 hours. Let's go over to, let's see here. We're going to go over to WeatherWise. Let's go to WeatherWise, so I'll show you your SPC outlook. All right, so here's your SPC outlook for today. We've got a slight risk for severe weather across Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado. Like I said, the main area for severe storms today will really be focused across that small portion in western, southwestern Nebraska. They do have that 2% chance for tornadoes, 15% wind, and they also have a newly added 15 significant hail. They hatched that a little bit further to the west. I don't know if we're going to be seeing storms fire additionally back there. Yeah, I don't really think so. I think that hatched risk should have been more off to the southeast. Definitely off to the east for sure. So that hatched risk might not actually see much in the wake of hailstones today, because many of our storms have fired off to the southeast. And then tomorrow we do have a marginal in Colorado, New Mexico, but really not much there of concern. Also do want to mention we have a 2% tornado risk out here in Virginia, North Carolina. That is just for very, very coastal areas. The newest update, that is very, very much confined to just the coastal areas of Virginia and extreme northeastern North Carolina. Reason for that is, if you take a look at the local radar site, we actually have a subtropical system, debatably a tropical system, making landfall here over the next couple hours over portions of southeastern Virginia. You can see that severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-an-hour winds that was in effect. That's since been canceled. So we are seeing a pretty notable subtropical, non-tropical system here. It is a cold core system, but honestly I do think at one point it probably was pretty close to being a warm core system. I don't know if I can go far enough back. I might be able to. Let me see here, see if I can load up a 250 frame loop. This thing actually looked to have a closed low at one point. Let's see, there you go, way back here you could see, I think it was specifically about 230 or so. Yeah, like right in here. It really did look like a good closed low tropical system at that point. But then it just really fell apart, and it's continuing to fall apart since then. But we could still see gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour across southeastern Virginia. So make sure you're staying weather aware if you are in southeastern Virginia, specifically this spot in here. That's where the impacts will be the worst. All right, but like I said, they did drop that tornado warning, so that's good. Still that PDS severe thunderstorm warning in effect, though. I did not expect 3-inch hail from this. I'm not too surprised, honestly. I'm not too surprised. Didn't expect to see a stationary supercell like this, though. All right, let's dive into the tropics, because that's the main reason we're live here. I'm going to switch the scene real quick. Let me get this up really quick here. All right, let's go back over here. We're going to go over to this scene. Alrighty, so we've got two AOIs from the National Hurricane Center now out here in the main development region. We've got a 20% chance for development in the next 7 days out of this system. Currently located just a couple hundred miles to the southeast of Cape Verde, moving to the west. Eventually, we'll get in this AOI, and I do think this will end up becoming a tropical storm. Same goes for our current 9090 AOI out here, well to the northeast, well away from any land, well northeast there of the Lesser Antilles, well southeast of Bermuda. Still Bermuda, you do want to keep an eye on this just in case it does end up curving back up that way. But this is likely going to become a tropical storm, and once it goes out to sea a little bit further, it goes closer to Bermuda, hopefully east of Bermuda, there's actually a chance it could make a run at becoming a hurricane. But right now, that doesn't seem too probable. Some of our models have it being a hurricane. Some of our models just have it dying out. It looks like the newer guidance, the 12Z guidance, I haven't looked at yet today, to be honest with you. Seems like all the 12Z guidance is in agreement on this being a hurricane. Let me just check one more thing real quick. Yeah, all guidance is in agreement of this being a hurricane, maybe even a major hurricane, but I'm not going to, I don't think that's as likely as a hurricane here. So tropical storm within the next 48 hours, and then probably a hurricane once this gets up towards east or southeast of Bermuda, sometime towards, let's see, sometime probably Saturday, maybe Sunday, this thing becomes a hurricane. I'll take a look at ensembles here just to see if those are in general good agreement with our deterministics, but that's a lot of deterministics that are in very large favor of this being a hurricane. I do want to check the European, the AI European. Yeah, even the European AI model run here, that also has a hurricane forming, though a little bit later. Most models say Saturday into Sunday. AI Euro has it being Monday into early Tuesday before that develops into a hurricane. But yeah, it looks like all of our ensembles are in really good agreement as well. Let me go ahead and show you all that. So this is Weather Nerds here. So very clear path for this system. Not really much uncertainty in the track. Now, there is some uncertainty on exactly when it turns near Bermuda, but in terms of where it's going, that's a pretty narrow corridor for a tropical system. You could see tropical storm likely somewhere in here, which should be maybe even as early as tomorrow. This thing could be a named storm. And then a lot of those ensembles do show a hurricane being very much probable. And even some show major hurricane. Now, this is your Euro ensembles here. That was your GFS, your Euro ensembles. A lot more aggressive with the intensity and a lot more narrow of a track here than the GFS ensembles. So not really a lot of uncertainty with this. This is really a dead set out to sea tropical storm, an eventual hurricane system. I don't see this being an issue for any land, maybe some rip currents in the far northeastern Lesser Antilles, but even in that case, this system is going to be pretty well removed from the Lesser Antilles. But you could see, again, tropical storm probably right in here. Within the next 24 hours, hurricane somewhere near Bermuda, and then it may make a run at major hurricane status before it really becomes subtropical and moves into the subtropics of the northern Atlantic. Now, the system behind that has a lot more uncertainty with it, but most of our ensembles and deterministics do show a low-end tropical storm forming here from this system somewhere to the west of Cape Verde. So we'll need to watch that very closely. Right now, that's really all I can say about it. I do think it will make a run at a tropical storm. Anything more than that, who knows? It's too far out at that point. And then the Caribbean and the Gulf remain very inactive. Nothing right now out of our Caribbean or our Gulf anywhere. Nothing whatsoever there. I do want to check the GFS ensembles. Yeah, even those, which typically the GFS is a lot more aggressive with those spin-up systems in the Southwest Gulf, even those ensembles have near next to nothing here across the Western Caribbean and Southwestern Gulf. So not really worried about that area yet. hopefully we keep seeing that. Hopefully we continue to see that. Like I said, our main window here is from really the last week of September through the first 2 to 3 weeks, really through much of October, honestly. Much of October, that's going to be open in the Gulf and the Caribbean. And then as we go into November, things become substantially less favorable for tropical development. So, but the main time frame is the last week of September through the first 2 weeks of October. But really, it's the entire month of October we're having to watch there in the Gulf and the Caribbean. All right, let's switch back over to our radar again. So, like I said, this system pretty much a guaranteed out to sea storm, likely tropical storm tomorrow, and then probably going to be a hurricane somewhere near, likely to the east of Bermuda, sometime Saturday, maybe a little bit later than that, according to the AI Euro. This system, it's going to make a run at a tropical storm, but we're just going to have to wait to see if models uptrend or downtrend with that. Once this system gets out of here, once that is out about 3 days from now, maybe 4 days, probably should be 3 days by the time it goes from here up to about here. We'll be able to get more information on the system that's currently located somewhere in this area, moving off to the west-northwest. And then, of course, we do have the Eastern Pacific. That's going to be a tropical storm there, possibly even a hurricane with that in the Eastern Pacific, staying away from land. So, really, we haven't had, outside of, I think, two systems have impacted land out there from the Eastern Pacific. I remember the Category 4 that went into Mexico. And then I believe we had another one that barely hit the southwest side of Baja California. They did downgrade that severe thunderstorm warning to 2-inch hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and still tour possible. Yep, I am, Pez. They've had spaghetti models for a while. Whenever it becomes an invest, that's when things become... Yeah, that's when you're allowed to look at the spaghetti models on WeatherWise. Those southernmost members, those are definitely the GFS, some of the GFS, maybe even in the Icon model there. The good news is if it does go south, it's going to die. So it's not like if it goes south, it's going to become a major hurricane or something. Really, the more north it goes, the better chance it has at a major hurricane. If it takes like this track, it's probably barely going to be a tropical storm. This track, it's probably going to be a hurricane, maybe borderline major hurricane. And then this track would be the most probable for a major hurricane. But either way, all of them keep it well away from any land. And the one that keeps it closest to land, which are these southernmost ensembles here, very, very weak. Tropical depression. Probably not even a tropical storm at that point. So I don't really think it's going to be... I don't think it's going to be an issue. Like I said, other than some surfs, though. It will create some surfs in northeastern Lesser Antilles, maybe even Puerto Rico. And if it does become a major hurricane near Bermuda, it could cause some surfs for the coastal areas in the far eastern U.S., even into the Outer Banks of North Carolina. That's if it becomes a major hurricane, which, again, I'm a bit 50-50 on that. We'll have to wait till later to really talk about that. First, we got to see if it even becomes a hurricane, right? But most of our models and ensembles agree it's going to become a hurricane. Most of them agree. Yeah, and not many of these take it towards Bermuda. You could see the ones that do take it towards Bermuda are very, very weak. So that's really good news. Let me go ahead and show you all of our main deterministic models, what those have here. So this is the European AI model run for Sunday night. And you can see it does have a tropical storm, borderline hurricane there, east of Bermuda. Now, it doesn't ever show a major hurricane, which is great news. And if we go to the European 12Z model run, one of the more aggressive of our bunch here, tropical storm, probably, what's today? Today's Tuesday, I think. Yeah, tropical storm, probably tomorrow night, Thursday morning on the European model run. Then it becomes a hurricane rather quickly. Hurricane Saturday morning, absolute latest Saturday afternoon. and then probably a major hurricane as we go into Monday afternoon, Monday evening, and then it becomes a subtropical system probably Wednesday and or Thursday going into next week. Bring that all the way back, go to the GFS 12Z. The 18Z is just now rendering. We haven't even got a frame of that. So that is the 12Z GFS there. Tropical storm Sunday, and then a hurricane Monday, major hurricane Tuesday. So this has a rapid intensification period here where your system struggles for the next 40, actually, well more than the next 40 hours. It struggles a lot for the next 100 hours or so, and then it undergoes rapid intensification well southeast of Bermuda, and then it does barely hit Bermuda. The outer bands of this potential hurricane would hit Bermuda in this case, but no direct landfall from that. So you do want to keep an eye on it in Bermuda, but I think this is the only model run that shows Bermuda getting impacts. This is the Canadian CMC model run. Also a bit late for a tropical storm, in agreement with the GFS there. Tropical storm actually Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then a hurricane Monday, and then see if it makes a run for a major hurricane. It barely hits Bermuda there on Wednesday, and then does make a run there for major hurricane status. I don't know if that would quite be a major hurricane, though. 977, probably Category 2 going into Wednesday with the CMC model run. All right, last model run of the main deterministics is the Icon 12Z. And I think this is really on par with the GFS and the CMC. Shows a tropical storm. You know what I noticed right there? Hold on a second. Let's see. We're going to go here. We're going to go to the European. Give me just a second. I got to pull all this stuff up. All right, what are we at? 102 frames out. Noticing the Icon model is so much further south. Yeah, that's probably an outlier there. Yeah, it keeps it very far south. It does develop a tropical storm. It's just, it never really gets going fully. Never really gets going there. But it does become a tropical storm. So we'll have to see what wins here. Right now, it seems like the main, from what I could tell, really a lot of our models, the CMC, the Euro AI, and the GFS, all those three actually have it being a tropical storm closer to Saturday, as opposed to, you know, within like the next 24 hours or so. Very interesting. Let me go back to, did I close? Okay, I didn't close. This is the European ensembles. Yeah, the European ensembles really have locked in that more northern solution and a lot quicker intensification, whereas the GFS is very gradual with it. So the GFS ensembles, the GFS deterministic, the Canadian model run, and the European AI model run are all substantially slower with development, but a little bit more west, a bit closer to Bermuda. And then the GFS, or rather the European ensemble, that really locks in a more eastern solution, but does show a much more probable solution for a hurricane, borderline major hurricane, going into the middle portion of next week. But again, either way, it's out to sea. Either way, it's out to sea. And most solutions show a tropical storm. So I think this is going to be a tropical storm. I think it's going to make a run at hurricane status. And then whatever happens then, well, talk to me in 5 days. I'll let you know. In 5 days, I'll let you know how high of a chance we have of a major hurricane. But like I said, either way, this just curves out to sea on most of our ensembles and our deterministic runs. Yeah, right now it should be a big blob. It should not be that organized. Yeah, you just have a very large, disorganized area of convection. Look at that. It really blows up over the last couple minutes there. Last hour, it's really blown up in convection. Yikes. Very, very quickly developed there. And it's going to remain like that for a minimum of the next 12 hours. The earliest this thing gets named is like tomorrow afternoon. I think that's the earliest this thing gets named here. So again, I think it's going to be a tropical storm probably in about 24 hours, somewhere up here. And then really that at that point, that's going to be where we figure out what's going to happen, because some of our models have it being a tropical storm all the way up till here, and then it finally becomes a hurricane as it goes east of Bermuda, whilst like the European model run has a tropical storm here and then has it being a hurricane somewhere like right in here, not but 24 to 48 hours after it becomes a named storm. So looks like models are really it's our ensembles. Really, it's our ensembles that are split. Our GFS ensembles and our Euro ensembles don't really agree with each other. Let's see. This is 92L. Yeah. Gracious. Yeah, even those are split. Here you go. These are our other models. Again, every single one has a tropical storm, but you can tell these are the ones that are a lot more gradual with intensification here in the near term. And because of that, most of them keep it at either a high-end tropical storm or low-end hurricane. And then others, which includes the European model run, a lot more aggressive with that intensification process, especially as this thing goes to the southeast of Bermuda. And some of those hurricane models, those have it being a major hurricane. Category 4 status. Yep, undergoes rapid intensification right there, becomes category 4. Thankfully, very, very far away from any land. But this is, the weird thing is this is actually slower with development too, but it speeds up with intensification, especially as it goes north of the Lesser Antilles. So that seems to be the most favorable environment, is definitely like right in here. Right as this system gets closer to Bermuda, that seems to be the most favorable environment for this system. Or wherever it may be. It might be a little bit more like this. Generally, just after this period here. Generally, just after this. Before then, I see it being a tropical storm at best. But again, then you have the European model run, which is a little bit more split. Here, I'll go look at the Euro one more time here. Probably not one more time. But yeah, that has it being a... Well, no, the Euro does actually show that slightly slower development. Saturday, 90 hours out is when it really starts that, honestly, rapid intensification process there. Is that when it starts on these two? There's 90 hours out is right here. And notice, make sure you can see this, notice how at 90 hours out, most of these models are intensifying, if not next to all of them. There's this green one right here actually somehow weakens it, but most of these are intensifying our system. 90 hours out really looks to be between 80 and 96 hours out between here. Let me see. Gotta try to draw this at least a little straight. Between here and here, that's where our intensification process really starts being more underway. Nope, it will not hit the U.S. Worst case scenario is the Outer Banks of North Carolina get some rip currents from this. The only way how that happens is if this becomes a major hurricane near Bermuda. I mean, you'd be surprised. Literally, a major hurricane way out here near Bermuda, that definitely could cause rip currents in North Carolina. But in terms of any direct impacts, definitely not. Definitely not. This is not going to be anywhere close to the U.S. But again, if it does become a major hurricane near Bermuda, there's a chance it could cause some rip currents across the Outer Banks of North Carolina. But we won't know that until we figure out its intensity. And then we have this system is this is a non-tropical low. It's definitely lost any minimal tropical characteristics it's had, and it's just spinning out here off the coastline of southeastern Virginia, just northeast of Virginia Beach there, just over Cape Charles. You guys seeing some flash flooding there. This is actually a considerable flash flood warning. You can see the reports here. Let's see, several vehicles reported in 2 to 3 feet of water south of Boulevard, Brentwood Crescent there. High water, Dublin Street, Clubhouse Road, approximately 6 inches of water on the roadway. So definitely that 2 to 3 foot water there, that's definitely more substantial. But yeah, basically this thing's just chilling right in this area. I mean, it's just tracked like this. And because of that, it's just fed these bands of rain all around to Virginia Beach. And up here as well, too. Let's look at storm totals here. Yeah, you can see Virginia Beach, Norfolk, definitely the worst of that heavy rainfall, but also up here, too. So definitely Virginia Beach, coastal areas got the most there. Up to 5 inches of rainfall already. And this isn't going to be stopping really anytime soon. I do think it will slow down with precipitation, especially if you are in far southeastern Virginia. But yeah, I mean, you could see Virginia Beach, another probably inch and a half of rainfall there. And then north of that, Hampton, another possibly 3 inches of rainfall on top of the already 3 inches of rainfall you've seen. So definitely going to see some more flash flooding impacts across this area as we go throughout the overnight hours tonight. And then if we go on into tomorrow, let's see, this is going into tomorrow. You could see that could spread even as far out as to Richmond. Could see upwards of 2.5 inches of rainfall there from this non-tropical lows. So even though it's non-tropical, doesn't mean it's not going to have impacts. And then, like I said, this area, we could see those 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts here all the way till about 2 a.m. Eastern time. But it looks like that low pressure is really starting to fall apart now, but we could still see some isolated wind gusts of 50 to 60. We already had a severe warning for 60 mile an hour wind gust earlier this afternoon across Cape Charles and southeastern Virginia. Yeah, some light rain making its way into central Virginia. Severe storm out here, just barely north of Crossville, eastern Tennessee. Just be away from doors and windows. You'll be fine. Nothing that significant. We only have one significant severe, I believe. Yep, this is our only significant severe. So if you are in, let's see, McCook in southwestern Nebraska, I would recommend being very close to your safe spot, if not in your safe spot. Really, I mean, 2-inch hail and a tornado possible tag. At least, minimum, be away from doors and windows. Don't go outside, but stay very close to that safe spot. If not, be in that safe spot, because 2-inch hail moving at 50 to 60 miles per hour, that could be very, very dangerous. And then on top of that, you have that tor possible tag too. If there is a tornado with this storm, which I doubt it at this point, it looks so much less well defined. Earlier, it had that better notching with it. You could see the better inflow here. That's when we had a funnel cloud reported in the hook. And now, really can't make out any type of inflow notch here. Really not really the characteristics of a tornadic storm there. Whoa, crazy outflow boundary right there. Look at that. That is an outflow boundary and a half. That is in between Theford and Brewster in central Nebraska. Man. Very, very, very obvious outflow boundary. Now, that should decrease the chance of tornadoes today. That's going to be creating a kind of essentially cool pool for these storms, basically choking them out. That's why you see this severe thunderstorm warning being allowed to expire. Now, we could still see an isolated severe storm in here, but it's less likely to see tornadic thunderstorms because of this cool pool that's occurring, this outflow boundary right in here. That's going to help create more outflow dominant thunderstorms. So definitely the main threat here is 1-inch hail and up to 60-mile-an-hour winds, but your best chance for severe storms today still going to be focused across the southwestern Nebraska area. I'm mainly worried about the Gulf. I mean, right now the Gulf's still pretty good. I mean, I know we are at like literally historic temperatures in the Gulf and the Caribbean, very well above average, but as long as we don't get a storm in there, we're good. I think there's a much higher chance for a storm going towards the Caribbean and the Gulf in the last week of September and through the entire month of October. So really want to watch the Gulf and the Caribbean from the last week of September through at least the first 2 weeks of October. That's your main, the main time frame for hurricanes is actually towards after September 10th, from September 10th all the way through like October 15th. We see 70% of hurricanes occur within a time frame after the peak of hurricane season. The absolute peak of hurricane season is September 10th of every given year. But 70% of hurricanes happen after that. So really, it's between September 10th and the entire month of October that we see the majority of our hurricanes. Now, you could still get the random hurricane and tropical storm in November. That's definitely a possibility every single year. It's just our main hurricane season is typically declining by that point. Actually, I can get you a chart. Let me show you a chart. Perfect. This is a chart of hurricane season. Absolute peak is September 10th. This is the Eastern Pacific. I'm like, that does not look right at all, does it? Let's do a take 2 on that. That's the Pacific. There you go. I'm like, that is not correct. Absolute peak is September 10th. Right there. That little tip. Very, very tippy top. That's September 10th of every given year. And our peak activity is from, in terms of hurricanes, September 10th all the way through about October 15th. That's the best chance for hurricanes. And then you can see how low that gets in the month of November. It's definitely present, but it's a lot lower. So the main time frame we're watching this year is from about like right here, the last week of September, all the way through about the last week, if not the end of October. That is where, and this is based from 1944 through 2020. And really the last 8 years or so, from about 2016 all the way till now, most of our hurricanes and our major hurricanes have occurred after peak hurricane season that actually end up impacting land. Milton, Idalia, I believe Ian, possibly. I know actually Ian might have been, let me go look. I know some of these were in August. I get them mixed up with, nope, Ian category 5, September 23rd through the 30th. And Idalia, that might have been the one in August. One of those I mentioned was in August. Idalia was in August. So, yeah, Helene, late September. Milton, October. Ian, late September. Let's see. What about this one? can't spell. All right, this Hurricane Michael, guess what? Early October. So you've got September, October. The last week of September and the first 2 weeks of October. That's when all of our main major hurricanes or hurricanes ended up hitting the U.S. Let me try to think of another one here. What about this one? Okay, that was in August. So, yeah, point being is, like, you can see the yellow, that's your hurricanes. That really goes up in the middle of August and it lasts through the last week of October. That's really your main chance. But over the last couple of years, it's really been closer to like September 15th or the last week of September all the way through the second week of October. But anywhere in this region here, we see hurricanes and tropical storms. Sometimes you see it outside of that, but really that's the main window. Just more recently, we've had more backloaded hurricane seasons. Outside of Beryl and Aaron, those two random ones Beryl was in the Caribbean and the Gulf. Beryl was actually in the main development region into the Caribbean, into the Gulf. That was a wild one. Aaron was in the main development region. Beryl was in July, Category 5 in July, and then Aaron was it early? Couldn't have been early August, right? It hasn't almost been a month, right? Oh my goodness, it's actually been a month. Yeah, I think it was a hurricane a month ago today. I'm pretty sure it was getting very close to hurricane status at that point. That's crazy. Yeah, it formed on August 11th. So, yeah, I don't know about a above average hurricane season. I think we are looking at a average, if not barely above average hurricane season. It's going to wake up. It is going to wake up in October. It is going to. It's just a matter of how much. And exactly where, too. Also, once you go into October, really odd, like late July all the way through from late July all the way till the third week of September, this is your main area for tropical development. That's your main area for tropical development for about 3 months. And then from the last week of September through early November, that really shifts across this area here. It shifts more towards the Gulf, specifically like the Southwest Gulf into the Caribbean. That's where a lot of your development occurs from the last week of September through early November. And then from early November to the end of hurricane season, it's anywhere. You could see one named storm somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. November is not typically that active. We get like one or two named storms somewhere in the Atlantic. Point being is, though, this chart is becoming less and less useful because a lot of our tropical activity happens in the later portion of this time frame here. Again, you see from really mid-August, right in here, that's mid-August, about the 15th, all the way through mid-October. That's your main hurricane season. But last year and probably this year, a lot of that is going to actually be closer to like the last week of September And who knows when it shuts down. I don't know when it's going to shut down this season. But really, it's been like the last week of September through mid-October, so. But then you have years like 2020, and it's just like, shoot. The whole basin's active through this entire time frame. 2020 just didn't care. 2020 didn't matter how favorable or unfavorable the environment was. There was a tropical storm out there. We had like 6, 7 tropical storms to keep an eye on at the same time. 2020 was built different. So, really, again, I think we're going to be very close to average this hurricane season. There's definitely still a chance we could be barely above average, but anything more than that is unlikely. NOAA has I think they have about a 60% chance. I'm pretty sure it's 60% chance of an above average hurricane season. We're still though, let's see. What are we at right now? I know we're at 1 hurricane, which is kind of crazy. The fact we're only at 1 hurricane is a little bit surprising, not gonna lie. Let's see. Oh, they changed this all around on me. Cyclonic WX changed their site. What name do you think we'll get to? I have no idea. Yeah, so far we've had 6 named storms, 1 hurricane, 1 major hurricane. But all basins are below average right now. Western Pacific, Eastern Pacific, and the Atlantic are all below average. That goes for ACE and named storms too, so we're definitely more inactive. Like I said, our last about 8 hurricane seasons have been backloaded hurricane seasons, but we've still had like a few notable storms and, like 2 or 3 hurricanes before September 15th or September 16th, where we're at now. Whereas this season, we've only had 1 notable one. That's it. We had tropical storm hit South Carolina. Very, very weak tropical storm in South Carolina. Barely a tropical storm in Mexico. And then we had the Category 5 hurricane, Aaron. Let's see. In order for us to be at a average hurricane season, we're gonna have to get to, man, what are our names? I still don't even know the names this year. I just take it 1 name at a time. All right, let's see. That is not the names. Cap. Yeah, we're gonna have to get to Nestor, if that's how you pronounce that, Nestor, for this to be an average hurricane season. Above average would be like Pablo. So I think we one 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 named storms. It's definitely possible. It is definitely possible. But the only way it's possible is if October is like very favorable for an upper air pattern there, which we've had a very, very, very not favorable upper air pattern for really the entire month of September. The entire month of September so far. Now it's getting a bit more favorable, and definitely it's going to continue to get more and more favorable from here on out. It will continue to be more favorable. The question is just when will it get less favorable? Because if it gets less favorable at like the middle of October, well, we may not be but like an extra 4 named storms at that point. So either way, I think we'll be average, maybe slightly above average. Yeah, so NOAA, they updated their hurricane season outlook. Let's see. This is their one from May. That's the one they had from 60% with that. But they updated their outlook. I think it was in August. Yeah, they barely changed it in August. Their prediction, their precise prediction was about 15 named storms, about 7 hurricanes, about 3 or 4 major hurricanes, with a 50% chance of it being above normal, a 35% chance of it being an average, and a 15% chance of it being a below average hurricane season. Gracious. But to put that in perspective here, from when this was last updated, which was like 40 days ago, we've had 2 named storms. Yeah. Now that I look at that, I don't know if we're gonna be like right at average. We're probably gonna end at an average hurricane season. I don't know if we're gonna be getting to above average. Like I said, unless October has a crazy favorable pattern. Two named storms in about 40 days. And this isn't like, in July or from like June to early August. This is from early August through the middle of September, which is your first peak of hurricane season. Your second peak, you have 2 peaks, obviously. About August 10th to September 10th, and then September 10th through October 15th. Those are your 2 peaks. Which, like I said, we've been the past 8 or so hurricane seasons have been more activity in the second peak. Especially more impactful peak hurricane season's been in the second half. We've had a lot more hurricanes and major hurricanes hit land on the second half of our hurricane season in the last 8 or so years. And like I said, now it's to the point where 70% of our hurricanes form after September 10th. 70% of our hurricanes form after the peak of hurricane season. Doesn't that sound very, very weird? 70% of hurricanes form after our peak. That sounds very wrong. We've had 3-inch hail today, 70-mile-an-hour winds, and we had 1 tornado warning. It was chilly. I already ate. I ate chili. Just barely before I started stream, but yeah, Lucky will be live probably about 7:30 Eastern. We're gonna head off here very soon, so I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Next live stream probably will be, let's see, today's Tuesday. I know I'm busy Thursday, so it might be Friday. Probably Friday. Let's see here. Okay, that's on Saturday. Yeah. We'll definitely be live Friday. Unless something pops up. I don't know. I'll let you know in the community post. How about that? Likely the next live stream will be on Friday. So, yeah, by then, we should have a name storm. If we don't have a name storm by Friday, geez, that would be insane if this thing doesn't form. There's a 10% chance. 10% chance we ain't got a name storm by the time we live stream on Friday. But yeah, anyways, like I said, Lucky will be live here in probably about 40 minutes, maybe 7:30 Eastern. So I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, fantastic Wednesday and Thursday. And I will catch you guys probably in Friday's live stream unless something else pops up and I'm able to do a stream tomorrow or Thursday. We'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hi, Ethan. Bye, Ethan. Glad to see you in the stream. Thank you, mods, for mod chat. Carson, Catman, Ben, Caleb. Appreciate you guys for modding chat. And everybody for tuning in here. And again, Lucky will be live here in probably about either 40 minutes or about an hour. I don't know exactly when. He may have scheduled his stream. I don't know. He don't keep me updated. So I'll catch you guys in Friday's live stream. And yeah, that's it. If something changes, I'll let you know in the community post. So also keep a tab on that because who knows? Who knows what may change between now and then. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. On your way out, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, share the stream and the channel with your family, friends, social media, hit that subscribe button with the notification bell set to all so you know when I go live or upload a video. And I'll catch you guys in Friday's live stream or whenever I'm live next. I'll again let you know if anything changes in the community post. Again, thank you much for my chat. Have a great rest of your night. Stay safe. Watch for your weather in the tropics. Goodbye. Stay safe. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.